when we realize that a piece of advice, a nugget, a seed can actually change people's lives. And one of those seeds is capital itself, not just good advice. Sometimes people just need a little fuel in the engine to get started. Since 1981, Justin has been producing world-class Bordeaux-style wines from Paso Robles on California's Central Coast. As the pioneer of Paso, Justin wines are what put Paso Robles on the winemaking map. The Justin team believes that wine should be exceptional from every angle, which is why their team uses boutique winemaking practices like hand harvesting and hand sorting. With a rich history of accolades, Justin produces exceptional wines and is proud to be America's #1 luxury Cabernet. Whether you're the first-time wine drinker or a wine aficionado, Justin has a wine for every celebration and occasion. Visit justinwine.com and enter promo code Playbook20 for 20% off your order. Justin offers the perfect holiday gifts for clients, colleagues, friends, or family. Be sure to check them out at justinwine.com to receive 20% off your order for a limited time and use the promo code Playbook20. Welcome to Entrepreneurs, the Playbook. I'm David Meltzer here at The Win, SiriusXM Studios during CES, the Consumer Electronics Show, which is always changing. I remember way back when they had Comdex and CES, the biggest shows on earth. And now there's so many shows on earth that aren't even on earth. They're virtual. And today I'm blessed to have my 3 close friends who are extraordinary entrepreneurs. I have Rory Cutaia, the CEO of Verb. He's also the executive producer of one of the hottest new TV shows on Cheddar and other platforms. Rory, go fund yourself.
I love it. I love it.
I love you, and I love the show, and I'm so grateful that you and I share so many common interests. But one of the interests that we share are these TV shows. You've been on Elevator Pitch, 2-Minute Drill, Office Hours, and now Go Fund Yourself, The Playbook. Just how is it that 2 recovering lawyers, very corporate in their way, enjoy the content game so much?
I think that the common thread that runs through all those shows that you just spoke about is our collective and individual desires to give back in some way, and especially given our respective skill sets, give back to entrepreneurs, right? And because that really is the backbone of the entire economy, not just here in the US, but around the world. And if you could somehow affect in a positive way those people and their needs and what they're trying to do, and as you mentioned earlier, help them, and then they will help how many hundreds of thousands and millions. So I think that's the common thread. That's something you and I share. That's something that's in our hearts. And I think that's what drives us in a lot of ways.
And I think all the guests here today have that in common as well. One of the things, too, that's interesting is I never thought that content itself, filming ourselves. I mean, you're a CEO of a public company, and your company knows, and personally how important it is to utilize content. And you as an individual, have you gotten over what are you doing? Rory, you're Rory Cutaia, the CEO of Verb. What are you doing on a TV show?
I guess I really just don't think about it like that. I try to just live in the moment. And with respect to being a CEO of a public company, communications are so critical, and they get dissected. Like every word, every nuance is dissected. So while being successful with anything video, and especially, in the social media world that we live in, storytelling is so important. Trying to marry storytelling, but yet follow the Securities and Exchange Commission's rules on what you're allowed to say in a public company context is a challenge. I don't mind telling you, because I am, in my soul, a transparent person, right? With my partners, with my investors. And I want to share, this is what we're working on. I'm so excited about it. This is what's coming. Well, you can't do that you can't make selective disclosures. So it is a challenge as a public company CEO. So that's why I have so much fun with you doing the other things that we do, like the show. I
And,
could just
and
be
by the way,
myself.
Jason Waller. So I know he has to fly all the way across country back and forth to be with us. And I just have to tell you, if you haven't seen Jason Waller, and I know Dave Hardin over there from Outpost Ventures knows Jason as well, he adds so much value to content because he is, one, very transparent about who he is.
Absolutely.
He's very entertaining, but he's very knowledgeable. There's so many nuggets within this big, huge personality with his blue light glasses and his funky haircuts. And, he's definitely like a polar looking
Love
opposite.
Jason.
Me
Love
too.
Jason. Yeah.
Opposites attract. Now, I brought a guy with us who you're going to end up being very close friends with because he's one of the best people I know in content. I share a space with him for masterminds and podcast studios and offices in Irvine, and he created something called the Dorothy House. And the Dorothy House takes what I don't like to do and what I'm not good at and what we have to hire people. I'm great at creating content in the fact that I capture my essence. But we need people that can edit it because it's all in the editing. No matter how smart you are, if it's not edited correctly, you look like an idiot. And then also, how do you amplify it so that people actually see it? Like Cheddar, for example, for Go Fund Yourself. And then even having the foresight to say, look, I'm going to create a perpetual legacy for you so that more people, without you actually doing anything, kind of like reading a book and someone handing you the book, now knows that essence and the frequency. CEO and founder of Dorothy House, John Barrett.
Thank you.
Welcome to Entrepreneurs, the Playbook.
Thank you. I want to touch on that house piece. The reason why I didn't attach agency to it or marketing is because when you go to someone's house, you come in and you have a cup of coffee and a chat. When you go to an agency, you sit in the lobby and have a cold water. If you're lucky, you may not even get a cold water,
Or you're paying too much and you get more than the cold
I always
water.
I always like to clarify that house part because I was on stage once and everybody's like, "What is it?" Because I promised that I was going to deliver that story, Dorothy House. Why is it Dorothy House? And I didn't, so I like to clarify that up front.
But you're an entertainment guy. You're a very well-versed musician. You hang out with some world-famous musicians. You guys got to come by Irvine Tower because we actually have one of our partners is one of top 10 guitarists in the world.
Yeah, well, I think he's number 35.
Close enough. There's Dave Meltzer again.
No big deal. Well, number 35 of all
First
time.
35, it's
of
all
all
good.
time, though. Right?
Yeah, of
No,
all
pretty
time.
good.
Of
That's
all
pretty
time.
meaningful.
Pretty
Who
good.
is it?
His name's Eric Steckel. Yeah.
And where would we have heard Eric?
I mean, unless you're into blues, you probably wouldn't hear of him too much. He's kind of a blues guy. But yeah, he's comes around there a lot. I mean, there's other characters too. We have an in-house production studio, but we also have a music studio. So we do live performances, we do music videos, and we have enhanced audio for that purpose. So there's instrumentation there. It's a flex studio, a lot of different furniture.
And you'll see this triad of friends that I have and why I brought you all together. So what makes it so interesting, Rory and I have this side of us that we grew up in the corporate world, legal degrees from good law schools. And yet now, it's like so surprising when someone wants to take a selfie with me or want my autograph, right? Or even calls me an influencer. Because I see myself as a business person who's using content to enhance my impact in the world. You're on the other side of the fence, and you came this way.
Yeah.
Bedros Keuilian, myself, and you are doing a Catalyst Mastermind,
Right.
which is showing because you have the artsy fartsy, like the real talent, the creative talent,
We couldn't be more different,
right?
right? Basically.
Yeah,
So-
and yet, we're teaching together how this all comes together the same way you'll see how Dave Hardin, Rory Cutaia, and John Barrett come together in this, unbelievable holistic approach to business.
Yeah, and I think it's the interactive aspect, immersive aspect of it, and having the studio there. I think a lot of people, they have decision paralysis when it comes to content. They get too tripped up on tactics. They don't focus enough on the value and the context that they're amplifying through social media, and I think that stops people from ever starting. And I think that's the greatest feature of what we're doing is that we're going to help people take that first step. But it feels like 1,000 pounds of bricks on your back before you start, those that haven't started, right? So entrepreneurs, business people that understand that the attention is on social media. I don't think anybody could argue that at this point. All you have to do is go to a mall or a restaurant. Everybody's like this. And I think if you know that's where the attention is, that's where you have to be. And I think that's the biggest feature that we have, is that it's so immersive and integrative. And I think that's the biggest benefit of what we're doing.
And to that measure, where the attention goes, the money flows. This show is brought to you by BetterHelp. Therapy is a great tool for facing your fears and finding ways to overcome them, because sometimes the scariest thing is not facing our fears in the first place and holding ourselves back. It's helpful for learning positive coping skills and how to set boundaries. It empowers you to be the best version of yourself. It isn't just for those who've experienced major trauma. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Overcome your fears with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/playbook today to get a 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/playbook. Imagine starting a small business, your first customer, first hire, first real paycheck. But everything isn't just exciting, it's scary. That's where JustWorks come in, the all-in-one platform that supports small business growth. Access seamless tools that help with benefits, payroll, HR, and compliance with transparent pricing. It's time to make payroll painless, run payroll in 90 seconds or less, and automate payments so you can set it and forget it. Did you know in 2023 alone, they processed over 25.6 billion in trusted payroll customers? Don't worry about the paperwork piling up either. They take care of payroll tax documents and reporting to help you stay compliant. Visit justworks.com/podcast to join the thousands of small businesses that trust JustWorks to take care of payroll, benefits, compliance, and more. That's justworks.com/podcast. All of us are involved in one, helping people, but making a lot of money and having fun. And when I was blessed to hook up with David Hardin, who's been on our shows as well, Rory as well, the Outpost Venture was, in the venture world, the most aligned venture firm with what my beliefs were. They were looking for people that not only wanted to make a lot of money because it's a venture fund, but help a lot of people and not take yourself so seriously while you're doing it, even though, you know, Dave's a serious guy when it comes to, you know, the military. We know there's rules, regulations, almost as bad as the SEC. But Dave Hardin is the founder and CEO of Outpost Ventures. Welcome to the Playbook.
Dave, thanks. It's great to see you. Rory, John, awesome. I love being here in Vegas.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we got to do a great 2-minute drill show together. I heard the new show's great. So I can't wait to join you, help out. Creative people want to see creative things happen. And so when you add creativity and a little bit of capital and some magic, great things happen. And so I was reminded today, I was driving in, because one of our great success stories, it was, you can appreciate this, right? It's like 2 a.m. I'd been doing the conference thing. Everything's like, luckily won a few bucks at blackjack,
Nice.
Things are good, right? But it'd been a long, long day. And I got a call. He said, hey, you got to meet this guy at the Cosmo. It's 2 a.m. Now, mind you, I'm in an Uber, right? I'm literally like pulling up into my hotel. The last thing I want to do is another meeting.
Right. At CES.
Last thing. This little voice came in my head. It was like, Dave, put your big boy pants on, right? Go see what this person needs. Go see how you connect. Go see how you can help them make something happen. It turns out the guy I wind up meeting on the second floor, 2 a.m, is Dan Robinson. And back of the napkin, like, oh, I got this idea. I want to do this thing. I'm like, all right. I'm going to help you. I like what you're doing. He was the first UK F-22 pilot to fly in the U.S. Well, as the history books would now show, 4 years later, went on, I was able to help him get his first revenue, get his first investor. He's now, we just helped him get a $30 million contract with the government. He did $70 million of raising. He now has augmented reality in planes, not only in the U.S., but internationally. All right, confidentially, I can't say some other things, but he,
You and Rory both.
but yeah, yeah, I got to take a Rory playbook here.
Yeah.
But I'm reminded, like how amazing, right? This was like Cosmo, 2 a.m, Vegas, back of the napkin, and this amazing business has flown through it, and we're tighter than ever because when you help sponsor and contribute and bring a little bit of capital to somebody's creativity and it becomes magical, what better reward is there than that?
Yeah. And I think a lot of times, Roy, in Go Fund Yourself as well, when we realize that a piece of advice, a nugget, a seed can actually change people's lives. And one of those seeds is capital itself, not just good advice. Sometimes people just need a little fuel in the engine to get started. And all the shows that we do have some sort of not only consultative advice, but some way of funding. Whether, Outpost puts up money for the winners in the show that's just pitch only, obviously on funding shows that we do, the Titans Fund. But there's this aspect of Go Fund Yourself that even if Rory wasn't involved, which all he has to do is ask me and I'll say yes, I don't even ask that. You don't have to tell me what it is. But this was my dream of what if we could have a show where we could give the advice, but instead of just minimal capital, that we could open it up to 10 million people on Cheddar, to millions of people around the world, and then lower the bar that you don't have to give a check of $10, $25, or $100,000, because not everybody can do that. If you have $100. And so Go Fund Yourself not only allows everybody to participate, evaluate into these napkin stories, and talk about and get an opportunity to have exponential results. Because before, only rich guys like you and I got those chances.
It's true. It's true. We are opening this up. This otherwise hidden, in back office deal making that goes on, where only the sharks could invest. Now everyone gets to participate in an amazing value creation asset class that they otherwise would never have even seen, much less have access to. So yeah, I'm super proud of that. But there's something that Dave said that I just don't want it to go unnoticed. There is so many opportunities that are just circulating in the air around us. And all you really need to do is just be open to it. So when he said it's 2:00 in the morning, I'm shot, I really would like to just go home, go to bed, but you know what? I'm going to go do this. He opened himself up to it, and it affected his life in a positive way, and obviously changed the life of this other person, this entrepreneur. And I think that's really an important point. Just open yourself to the opportunities that are all around us. And I think that is really one of the keys to success. There's obviously several on your keychain, right? But that's such an important one. And a lot of people just feel like, I never get an opportunity. I don't, it's attitude. Open yourself up to it. You preach this all the time.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because with all of that going on, if we don't present it the right way, it's lost. Mm-hmm. So even the story, if that story isn't communicated correctly, edited, etc., which leads me to John in the complementary triangle here, that I find we had a whole room of people here at the mastermind. We're doing the Catalyst Mastermind for this reason. And I know exactly what it feels like to not know, to want to do something, but not know how to do it. And then you're wondering, who do I go to that I can trust? Because a lot of these new things are new. So that means that there's a lot of young people who don't know what they don't know, pretending like they know what they don't know. I call them, there's nothing braver than a 19-year-old life coach. And so that, right? That's the analogy I use for, I'm an expert in social media. You're 16, bro. Yeah. Like, you may understand some parts of the algorithm, but you have no clue about life or business. Come to me when you have a family, a community, and you've lost everything. Then you can start teaching me about how business is going to run. So I might give some advice, this much advice. John, you've been through the ringer, and you're someone who I recommend to help. You're somebody I recommend to help other people when they're sitting here going, Dave, this all sounds great, but I don't know who to ask to film me, to edit me, to amplify me. Where did you see the place in the market? Because there's so much bullshit out there.
Well, you don't want to have the person telling your story to not have a story, right? So if your storyteller has never had their heart broken, if they've never been betrayed, if they've never made money and lost money, if they need a story. So if they don't understand the context of the story in which they're trying to tell, you're off to a bad start.
It
sounds like a Taylor Swift song. It's a Taylor Swift song.
I mean, it's true.
Right? He's a musician.
It's just like, I don't know. I like the person that's been beat up and come back, right? Because they have something to talk about and you could feel it. And I think that's real life, right? And I think stories are what connect us all. And so I think, if you have someone that started editing or doing production 15 minutes ago and they learned on YouTube and they live in their grandma's basement and they're on Fiverr, you may not get as great of a product. It just depends on what you're looking for. But I think that's extremely important. And I think I see ourselves as storytellers. I really say that we make movies. It's a movie. And I always tell people, how good do you want your movie to be? You want it to suck? I don't want my movie to suck. When's the last time you sat through a movie that sucked? You get up and walk out, right? So I'm like, I want my movie to be badass. And what is your movie? It's your legacy. So when you die, when you're gone, all this stuff's going to stay. And so you want your legacy to be badass. I want a badass, high-level transformer commercial type stuff, right? And so if that's what you want, then that's what we give you.
John, I think you just threw a big nugget to the crowd today. So that's huge. And like Rory mentioned earlier, like we don't want to miss like these great opportunities. And so you're dealing with all these people, you're making stuff happen. How do you bring the story out of people, right? Because if you just say, hey, tell me your story, they might not be able to like,
right. Like you might have just said,
they might not
I met this guy in Vegas and I funded him and he's worth $70 million.
Right. Like
that's what some people do, right? Hey, I met
that's the Cliff Notes, right?
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, I would say
I was like on the edge of my seat, like 2 a.m. In an Uber.
I always tell
like that was got my attention.
Right.
I ask people 2 questions. What is the change you seek to make, and who is it you're uniquely positioned to serve? That's it. That's what I ask people. If they can answer that, then I can help narrow and sharpen the focus of their content. Because I think a lot of people are throwing spaghetti at the wall. They go, "Oh, this is popular right now, so maybe I should do that." Or this is the flavor of the day. Or they're doing these skits or whatever. But I don't think that scales. Just ask the Hawk Tua girl how that worked out for her.
Hey, that meme coin. Coin's doing good.
Actually, by the way, I brought this up when she was hot, and I was doing a live talk, and the whole audience attacked me. I said, you watch what happens. And I let it go and move to the next thing. What happened? Nobody knows her name. You know her name? I don't know her name. Does anybody know what her story is? Does anybody know what her offering is? No. So, and it's nothing against her, but it's like, I think it's important to have clarity on what your offering is, who you serve, and the change you seek to make, which I learned from Seth Godin. That's the Seth Godin model.
I'm with you. You mentioned something a moment ago about the 16-year-old. I feel like I've probably lived 9 lifetimes already.
But he looks younger than I've known him.
No, I
Rory's
really
still a sexy guy.
Yeah, he is.
And
Dead sexy.
I got to come back here more often.
You can slip me a 20 later.
You got 3 dates after this. I know his wife. I'll tell her it's okay.
But notwithstanding the 9, lifetimes I've squeezed into one, I really do feel like I learn every day. Every day there's something else. Even if I wasn't thinking about learning something else, I'm learning every day, and you got to be open to that. And I will tell you that there are some 16-year-olds out there that I've learned from.
Yeah.
There's some really, really talented people. When I was 16, I don't remember that many people at my age that were that smart and talented and were amazing. There's young people today that are extraordinary, and I think we do have a lot to learn from them, and we should embrace it. And I know you do. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, wow.
And I think that's where people get caught is they take a comment about a 19-year-old life coach. Because technology moves so fast that there's 16-year-olds that have been utilizing a certain technology for 10 years. And there's 57-year-olds come Saturday that can't or haven't had the time to understand that technology for 10 years. But my point is that we can use those people for that understanding or situational knowledge. But in the end, in business, there's a great value to Rory Cutaia, David Hardin, and John Barrett to me, because like John said, there's all these lessons that I can take what you know as an expert and then apply it to a very long list of lessons and do much more with that 16-year-old than the 16-year-old by himself.
Truly.
And I think that's a really important distinction, because people are getting ripped off because the 16-year-old doesn't know any better about the business stuff. But he may be my best editor is 17 and lives in Europe. Right? He just knows how to put together the story. But when it came to like even negotiating his own deal, he sucked. Right? Yes. And when I put him in a business situation to get more business, he sucked. But he's amazing technical editor on whatever software he's using, because he's been doing it for so long, more than possible for anyone else, I think, because he started using it when that software came out. And because he's young, he can do it all day long, where we have families and businesses and raise money and do all those things. Hey guys, we could be here all day, but I just have to thank you. We're going to do so much more together as always. I would, just one, because there's so much wisdom in this room. I would love it if I could just go right around the triangle real quick. Give me in 2024 one of the bigger lessons that you learned since we're at the beginning of 2025. Rory Cutaia, CEO of Verb.
Oh gosh, there were so many in 2024. Wow. I think it's probably let's lose the divisiveness that we've all been living through this past decade, I think, and be more accepting and receptive than we have been. And I think that will serve us all.
I know who you're talking to.
Yeah.
All right, good. Johnny Barrett, CEO of Dorothy House.
My most valuable lesson in 2024 is just be true to yourself and don't be afraid, be courageous and be who you really, really are, not the manifestation, not the manufactured version of yourself. Be who you really are and shine with all your glory, because you can't lose if you do that.
I love it. Awesome.
That's my
and
advice.
David
Amazing.
Hardin.
Iterate really quickly to create massive momentum for your life. That's what I learned. And to tell a quick story, we were on 2-minute drill. Rory, Dave, we inspired a bunch of entrepreneurs. The entrepreneurs inspired us. And I don't know if you remember, there was 2 ladies, and they won one of the competitions. Hug Note.
Yeah.
Remember Hug Note?
Yeah. In Scotland or Ireland.
I didn't know where they were at.
Yeah.
Randomly, right? My son's playing basketball internationally against the Irish national team. Happens to be in the town where the Hug Note ladies were at, where we cut a check to, keep them going, right?
Yeah.
Meet with them, follow up 2 years after the show, right? Sit down with them. They're making it happen. I'm giving advice. Like all these great interactions are like happening. And we just keep iterating. And Hug Note inspired me now to write a book. So I'm writing a book called 8-Second Hug, How to Change Your Relationships and Your Life. Because the research shows that if you hug for at least 8 seconds, chemicals are released from your body that provide loyalty, self-worth. And in a day and age where we have social media and we're disconnected from people, we all seek to be connected humans. And so a simple step you can take is to go home and hug your loved ones for 8 seconds.
Love it.
Or more.
Right? Or Dave, we had an 8-second embrace out here, right? To change the way that we can make things happen. And all that came from iterating, from building momentum, from taking a simple idea and then taking the next step. And Dave, that's what you do a great job of providing to everybody.
Yeah.
We got to be part of a show that kind of inspired people and make that happen. And we watched it happen in real time. And so it's an honor to be here today and part of a great group of people. So I appreciate it.
It's great.
Could not have said it better myself. I'm so blessed to have all 3 of you as friends, partners, and community leaders, not just members. And please reach out to Rory Cutaia. Go fund yourself on Cheddar. John Barrett, we have Dorothy House, and come join us at the Catalyst Mastermind with Bedros Keuilian. And of course, you got to have fuel. Get your fuel from Outpost Ventures. He's part of everything that we do. David Hardin, Rory Cutaia, John Barrett. Thank you for joining me. This is David Meltzer with Entrepreneurs, the Playbook.